It's time to release our energy and start focusing on the swing path. We've done all the work with our bigger muscles, and now I'm going to show you how to swing independently with the arm. Remember, it feels a lot different than it looks, so don't think that when I'm showing you these things in the real swing that I'm arming the ball. That's not how we want to go about this. You still want to be relatively loose and have this term which I call swing efficiency, which is feeling like your arm is kind of just a piece of spaghetti coming along for the ride. So what we do is we keep the racket on the outside of our body, and what's going to naturally happen is your racket head is going to fall into what's called the slot position, okay? Your wrist is going to fall back at a 90-degree angle by driving the butt cap forwards first, and it's going to create this angle on the wrist, which is going to be released later, but we'll talk about that in a sec when we get to the contact point. We want to swing away from our body. I'm a right-handed player, so I have to swing out to the right. The swing path starts with circumference, and we want to cover this distance around our body because that's going to get us more power. Think about in your mind, the more radius you can get, the more power you're going to produce. So we want a relatively big follow through. I think a lot of tennis programs actually focus on a big setup and a shorter follow through, when in reality, it should actually be the opposite. It should be a short setup and a big follow through, because that's what the good players do. So from here, we're going to go independently with the arm after we've uncoiled, and we're going to go directly to the ball independently with the arm. And it's going to go like this. The wrist comes back and we come through and around. Now, it's completely acceptable to have a bent arm at contact points. It's completely acceptable to have a straight arm at contact point. This is really insignificant because you will find players doing both. And sometimes, different scenarios are going to have your arm at different lengths, right? We can't predict where the ball's going to go. So don't worry about this at all. It's really insignificant to the rest of your stroke. As long as you come through and take the action steps in the next modules that I suggest, everything should be completely fine. So from here, okay, the arm has come loose and through, and we just want to make sure that this isn't tucked in here, okay? The elbow should be bent, it's fine, but we still want to maintain this space right here. And this is how we get to our contact point. You could imagine it like if you had, a cheese string and you peeled it and your arms were kind of just dangling there and you just twisted and your arm is just flying at the ball like a whip, okay? You want to make sure that your strings stay closed for as long as possible, and that when you come up onto the ball, your strings are slightly hooded at contact, but relatively flat, okay? And this is going to give us the most amount of topspin for a heavy topspin forehand, okay? After this, let's go look at the contact points.